And welcome back to another episode of JP and the Beanstalk.
Oh, it is so good to be here. The energy in the gym is palpable.
It is.
When you say the words that start the letter P into a microphone, it often doesn't play well with you. And you know what? That's all right. Just prepare for a glorious time. Because that's what we're in for, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, if this sucks, I'm just walking out. We're not going to stick with it.
No.
We've got 5 minutes to see if this is worthwhile or not.
Right.
5 minutes. Counting down now.
Well, we better get there.
Okay. Let's hope we do.
But firstly, if you're new here, welcome.
Welcome.
If you've been here for a couple episodes, great job. Way to stick with. If you've been here since the beginning, good on you.
Who are you?
Can't blame you.
Who are you?
Or can't... I can't find it. We'll figure it out later. So, thanks for being here. That's the words. Yes. Back to the P words.
Listen. Love it. Well, it is so good. There's another hodgepodge of topics for us to cover on this pod. We have the final 4 to get through in our first annual JP and the Beans bracketology. When I was, by the way, I like to, speaking of people that don't listen to the podcast, I like to give my wife a hard time about never having once listened to a single episode. And pretend like I'm hurt. I'm not really hurt, but I might be a little hurt. Who knows? I like to keep her guessing. But anywho, I try and, engage with her in terms of, hey, what do you think we could do? Throw some ideas by her as it pertains to the bracket, right?
To get her involved.
To get her involved,
yes.
Right. Make her feel involved. Maybe someday she could be a listener. Who knows, right? I'm just trying things. And I make a genuine, sincere effort to be like, hey, here's kind of some of the ideas we're thinking of for the topics. She goes, it's not March. It's the middle of April. Just immediately shot down.
Wow. Ouch.
I was like, this is cold. Cold.
Does she know how big it was?
I don't
It's so
know.
huge.
I know. The bracket's huge. We printed it ourselves.
Yeah. Do you want
colored
one,
on it in marker and everything?
Do you want one full podcast dedicated to it? That's a lot. That's a lot. Well, more power to you, because, my mom's like, yeah. Because, first of all, my mom, stopped watching my first podcast for a plethora of reasons.
Mm-hmm. Another good P word.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very
so, didn't even do that on purpose, but it worked.
The letter of the day is P.
And then she's like, well, I could try listening to your other podcast. And I'm like, Mom, you're not going to like it. And she's like, why? I was like, because you don't have any skin in the game.
No.
This means nothing to you. You didn't like...
No relevancy.
You didn't like No Way Home, Mom. Oh, speaking of which, it is my mom's birthday. And I forgot to FaceTime her. But I did message her.
The day's not over. The day is late, but it's not over.
Hey, Ma. Ma, you awake?
Happy birthday, Mrs. Lickway.
Oh.
Way to go.
You get old. Memory banks failed me on that one again today. It's fine.
Next year.
I won't be paying for it.
Next year.
In any way, shape, or form, I'm sure. But... yeah, happy birthday, Mom.
Do we need to press pause?
No, we're fine. We're fine. She'll get over it.
You can pass on your
I said we're good because I said happy birthday this morning. Okay. So we're good.
So
she already thanked me for it. You're
sweating.
I am. Bullets. Sweating bullets.
We're not perfect, but we're gonna get there.
I am screwed.
We are works in progress.
I am screwed.
That's okay. Point is, there are people that are out there that could be listening. Your mom, my wife,
Not after today.
others. We're not helping our own cause here, but we're thrilled to be here. We love talking on the topics, big and small. There are an absolute slew of trailers that have been released for upcoming projects this summer and beyond that we're excited to nibble on those small portions and discuss. So what a treat that will be.
Yeah, it's like everybody wanted to drop a trailer over the last 2 weeks. They're like, JP and Beans are dropping another episode. Let's give them a bunch of stuff to talk about.
You bet. Thank you, guys. We already know that we have garnered unprecedented influence at Disney and Marvel They're clearly listening to the pod. At least Bob Iger is.
Still want my paycheck, but that's fine. I mean, if you're going to use us, we might as well be getting paid for it.
I can be bribed with other things, like free trips to Disney World. That'd be great. Really, my bar is excessively low.
I'll tell you what, they just give us a rewards list.
Interesting.
So if we hit certain numbers, we get certain things.
Wow. Okay. Incentivization. That's great.
So if we hit 200,000, we get real life web shooters.
Okay, I like where your head's at more than mine. You continue to dream big.
I like toys.
Speaking of toys-ish, you went and saw the Mario movie. We need to hear about that.
I did.
I have yet to see it. Still kind of on the fence. I'd like to go see it. I think trying to decide if my 7-year-old would be down for it. It's a very much 51% yes, 49% no in my mind. So I'm trying to decide if I want to take the risk. I think I'm going to. And we need to chat about our guy, Jonathan Majors. There's been news that we haven't touched on yet in regards to Mr. Majors. And as more time passes, there's less clarity on what the future will hold. So, lots to cover. Mostly good things. Let's just get right into it, shall we? Okay. Trailers. Starting from the top, we're going to go in order of release date of the film. Therefore, in the animated film spirit, having already referenced the Mario movie, how about Across the Spider-Verse? Being released June 2nd of this summer, of which, by the way, kind of feels like summer, because this has been a glorious week, weather-wise. Across the Spider-Verse released its second trailer, first full-length trailer. Riles, what'd you see? What'd you like? What questions do you have? Where are you at with this one?
Well, let's just start off with the questions I have. Where is Nicolas Cage's Spider-Man Noir? Where is Spider-Ham? Okay, I need those two in there.
Why even have the movie if they're not in it?
Well,
right? That's the big question.
What's mind-boggling to me is you're introducing more Spider characters. Fantastic.
Yep.
You introduced a whole original cast.
Yep.
You didn't want to bring back all of them and then add on. I think that's weird. I think that's weird. So those are the questions that I have.
I loved that our guy, Peter B. Parker, played by our guy, Jake Johnson.
Thank God.
Nick from New Girl.
And he's a dad.
What a delight.
That's going to be a fun little dynamic there. You know for a fact she's getting kidnapped at some point. Because that's what happens to babies. They just get kidnapped. Right?
Typically, if they're in a superhero movie.
For sure. That child is going to be... And it will be the chosen one, by the way, as well. Like this... His daughter will be the one that is supposed to save them all. I'm calling it right now. Okay. Anyways, I think it's interesting that Spider-Man 2099 seems more like an antagonist than the Spot, which is supposed to be the antagonist. I think that's an odd choice to have Spider-Man 2099 be the villain-esque. And again, I don't know if he's the actual full villain, but they're really playing into the fact that that's what he is.
Yes, that's certainly, no question, that's certainly the direction that they are indicating, leaning. I mean, they're not shying away from that, that's for sure.
So, I think a lot more people in his life died than just one person for him to be freaking out. Okay? One thing I did like, they referenced the MCU.
Okay.
It is Earth 109999 and not the 616. I actually love that because I think they need to keep the comic book mainline universe the 616. Don't touch anything else.
Yep.
But I like that little nod to be like, no. And then...
Well, and it keeps freedom for them to be, frankly, just as loose as they desire to be with various characters, various roles, which I think was part of the delight of the first film, is that it leaves you open to being surprised, right? They establish right away that, hey, this Miles Morales is not your Peter Parker Spider-Man, which seems kind of obvious, but at the same time, when they took the Peter Parker Spider-Man out of, as he died, sorry, spoilers, very early in that movie, it just set a really critical tone of, you don't actually know what's going to happen here.
Right.
And that is great when on the one hand it's a familiar character of Spider-Man, but you have a new individual to most people embodying that role, to just have it being an entirely new world. That's great. We don't need more of what we're already getting, that mainline 616 Spider-Man. We get that in the live action MCU. So I love the fluidity that comes with not intentionally not living in that world.
And I think it's an interesting thing that they do nod to the MCU because it could be a playful nod, or it could be like, hey, Tom could show up. Do I want that or not? I'm 50-50. I don't care. If it's done right, fine, whatever. Yeah. I don't need him to be a main, character.
Yeah, doesn't need to be a significant part of this at all.
Right.
A wink and a nod is fine, but...
I am actually really excited for the Spot coming out of this. First of all, what a great villain to pick, because he's not relevant. You can kind of do what you want.
Just ridiculous.
Right.
Yep.
He looks genuinely awkward. Mm-hmm. This dude is built like Mr. Potato Head, essentially. His body is a potato, and he's got really skinny arms and legs.
He's built like someone who put on one of those full body suits, and now I'm blanking on what that's actually called. There's a name for it. Right? That it's not flattering for anybody, but it's particularly not flattering for this person.
Right. He just looks creepy.
Yes. Yep. It's a bad look. And Jason Schwartzman, who voices the Spot, great casting choice. Great casting choice. He has such a unique... he kind of lives in this higher octave, but there's a crispness to his voice. It's like, it makes it difficult to know, are you someone that I should trust or not? So I think it's a great casting choice for this kind of a role, with a villain, allegedly, like the Spot, who it's hard to take too seriously as a villain.
Right. So that's all of my opinions, I think, on that movie. But I'm excited. I think it'll be cool. It looks like Miles is trying to do the Spider-Man thing and find the work-life balance of being Spider-Man. So
we've all been there.
Right.
How much time to spend as the hero? How much time to spend as the podcaster?
It's hard to turn off.
It's just such a burden of responsibility.
Yes. With great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah, I'm with you. I was a little wary of what seemed to be leaning into Spider-Man 2099 as the primary adversary. I don't know how much... for me, it's more of a personal preference. I'm not saying it's not a good choice as far as, hey, does this make for a good or worthwhile story? But I, in general, would rather have a straight-up, hey, this is a villain fighting or dueling with the protagonist than someone who's supposed to be a protagonist fighting against another protagonist.
Or even like an edgy Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. For instance, Superior Spider-Man. The Doc Ock taking over Spider-Man. That makes sense to me.
Right.
Or, you throw in Kane's Scarlet Spider. That would be another one where you're like, oh, it kind of makes sense because he's already crazy.
Yeah.
So, it just feels like 2099 is such a weird choice for that.
Yeah, and frankly, so much of what, to be really kind of bland perhaps with it, but it just is what it is. One of the reasons people, and I include myself in this, enjoy superhero movies, comics, is you get to see really what should be really unique battles, right? And I think it's generally kind of boring when the two adversaries, whoever they are, have similar skill sets. To me, it's far more fascinating when you have two contrasting skill sets, because then it takes just more ability, more skill, more cleverness to see who will actually gain the upper hand and win. So when it's two Spider-Men fighting against each other, that just doesn't grip me. If it's two Supermen fighting against each other, it's like, okay. I want to see two opposite sides, two different, sets of abilities to see which set is superior. to borrow your word. So that's where I'm at there. So I hope they don't lean too heavily into the Spider-Man on Spider-Man.
I'm hoping it's a red herring.
Yep.
Yeah, I want it to be one of those red birds where it's like, oh, you think it's going to go one way and it's a different way.
For sure.
So that's what I'm hoping.
For sure. All right, good things. Across the Spider-Verse coming out June 2nd. Next on the docket, Secret Invasion dropped its second trailer and also finally gifted us with an official release date. We're looking at June 21st. For episode 1 of Secret Invasion, anticipating probably about 6 episodes. Who knows? Maybe another will show up at some point. Another 7, 8, but I'm thinking 6 is a pretty fair guesstimation here. Our boy Nicholas Fury doing covert ops. What were your thoughts on that trailer, Riley?
I'm excited because it seems like it's serious.
Mm-hmm.
I was listening to another podcast talk about Secret Invasion.
How dare you?
And it was like all about the comics because I had to pause it and finish that before I started listening to it.
Yes.
But they kind of brought up a really good point in the sense of it's weird that the Skrulls are now bad because when we last left off with them with Captain Marvel and the little tease that we had where they were playing Nick Fury, they were good. So,
well, not just good, but at that point, legitimately partnered with Nick Fury.
And that whole point of the Captain Marvel movie was, hey, these guys were supposed to be really bad people, but it turns out they were victims.
Yeah.
So, that's a little odd to me.
Yeah.
I think it looks sweet. I think it's got a lot of potential. I want to know who they're bringing in. I want to know who they're... Because... Nick Fury can be the lead here, but we still need our... And I know War Machine's supposed to show up for an episode. Falcon's supposed to show up. Or I should say Captain America now. Captain America is supposed to show up at some point.
Yep.
So we know that there's going to be characters sprinkled. But for Secret Invasion, I want there to be a big enough impact where this matters. And it's not one of those things where they're just doing bad boy shenanigans and getting into a little bit of trouble, but not like if one was like Thunderbolt Ross, who like legitimately, if one is Thunderbolt Ross when he set up the Sokovia Accords, that might make sense because then they're trying to split the heroes up. Other than that, I got nothing.
You know, here's something I go back and forth with, right? I'm going to go on a little bit of a diatribe here, so this could wander a bit. I have wondered for a while now if Marvel does or does not do themselves a favor when they choose to release a show or a movie that is titled, in this case, Secret Invasion, right, which shares a title with a very popular Marvel Comics event that was a culmination of years of setup in the comics. So a huge, right, in terms of comics, this was across every Marvel character. This is where the influence, it touched every character, every aspect of that comics universe. Whereas this show feels much more small, serious, of course, but self-contained. Right? It's just going to have more limitations on it, or at least so it seems. That's my expectation compared to a movie. And so, now, in general, I don't mind that. I'm not demanding, no, give me the Secret Invasion, big, massive, humongous scope because of what was in the comics. But it also seems like perhaps poor branding for Marvel to even invite that kind of a comparison by saying, hey, this show is Secret Invasion. And then you have a decent number of people, right? I don't know what the percentage is. Let's say 33%. Let's say it's a third of the people that consume this content that have read that comics run. And that's probably being generous, probably closer to 25%. But that is perhaps also your most passionate segment of the fan base, okay? Why doesn't Marvel just free themselves from the shackles of expectations and come up with shows and movies that are their own titles, just from a branding point of view, and they can still share heavy influences from the comics, but especially at this point, they don't need to throw that bone out there and say, hey, this is based on a comic, to hope that people will come and watch the movie or watch the show. Like, just say it's title it almost anything other than what the comic run is. And there's been times, here's what's been really tricky for me. This is why I ramble on this topic. Sometimes Marvel has done that, right? Where there's not a expectation set by the title of the comic. Guardians of the Galaxy, Volume 2, Volume 3. And no one has read Guardians of the Galaxy comics because they barely exist. Iron Man was just Iron Man, right? Now, Captain America Winter Soldier, that was a pretty, not direct blow-by-blow, but very similar adaptation to the comic, and that worked out really well. Civil War, that's a weird one. That was very different from the comic. The movie was different from the comic. The only thing similar was inter-team conflict. But even there, your scope was so different. And I think I personally prefer it and like it more when Marvel is more original and less dependent on, hey, we have to adapt this comic story. It's like, use the characters and make your own stories. So, and here endeth the diatribe.
But they do it for the money. Because they know that Civil War was a very successful comic line.
Yep.
And they don't really give a hoot or a holler if that storyline follows in the movie. Because people who are smart enough will be like, oh, well, it can't play out the same exact way as the movie.
That's what I mean. Like, why bother then with calling it that? Because people
I 100% agree.
Come to these movies anyway. I understand if, hey, it's the first few years, we're trying to get this thing on, launched to where it's self-sustaining, but it's beyond self-sustaining. It's printing its own money. So why do that to yourself? It just seems limiting.
I'm with you on Captain America.
Yep.
I don't think you needed to title that Civil War. But Secret Invasion, because to me, they just wanted a Nick Fury solo outing, which is fine by me.
Right.
But I don't know if you're going to get as much attention if you just title this The Fury Files.
Sure.
Smart name that I came up with on the spot.
That's really good. No, that's really good. But then you have I agree with you. But then you have Loki. And that's all it is. Loki. Season 1. No, that wasn't even Season 1. We didn't know there was going to be a Season 2, so it's just Loki. Right?
I think
it's just bizarre. All I'm saying is it's inconsistent, and I don't know which direction I strongly prefer.
But I think the only difference between that, Loki. Very fan favorite, very beloved.
Yep. Pretty well established.
Right.
Yep.
When people don't like the Thor movies, but they like Loki and Thor in the Thor movies.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So, he gets his own show. He's in high demand. What I don't understand with Fury is the last time we saw him was Captain Marvel. Before that was Winter Soldier. Right? Was it and besides the
Age of Ultron was after Winter Soldier.
Right. Okay. And then maybe his little nods in Endgame and Infinity War when he gets dead, he dies again for the 14th bazillionth time. Right?
And the air quotes on dies.
I don't think anybody's out there parading in the streets for a Nick Fury show. And I love Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury. But I think that's the only big difference.
Mm-hmm.
And also the comic book podcast I was referencing is called Absolute Comics. So, but yes.
Good drop there. Yeah. So that's my personal quandary. Regardless, I'm very intrigued by this show. What I love, to bring it back to our original topic of the trailer, I love that the trailer, this is the second trailer for this show, and they're 2 for 2 on showing very little. What they have done is they have established what we are to expect as the tone for the show, but they have not given away, I don't think, anything. I mean, it feels like they are keeping things very much as far under wraps as you possibly can, and I love that, because you don't need to have any big character reveals to draw us in. Just show us the tone. The tone looks tremendous. Samuel L. Jackson's a delight. Nick Fury as a character is worthwhile. I'm all in. The Winter Soldier vibes are heavy on this.
I agree. I'm with you 100%. I'm just curious. Excuse me. If the show would benefit from maybe a 20-second tease of just a bunch of MCU characters.
Mm-hmm.
They don't even have to be in it.
Yep.
But just to get people's minds going oh crap, they might be involved in this. Sure. Oh crap, they might be involved in this.
Yeah.
Because
from the are they or are they not a Skrull?
Right, because they need to build up in this show that you cannot trust anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the entire premise.
That was really hard. That should not have been that hard.
It's
premise.
It's all
the entire premise.
All the P words today. Premise. Yes.
It's getting too late.
I'm gone. Yeah. No, it's fine. So don't remind me now. But anywho, they need to build that distrust because right now there's nothing that's happened in the movies for right now at this point in time.
That's a great point.
Where in the MCU where everybody's got to be like,
there's no mistrust.
Weird.
Right. And that's a great point because that is what made that particular event in the comics so gripping is that they pulled that off really well in the comics. They gave reveals to which heroes, which villains were Skrulls, and there were some genuine surprises in that lineup.
They were involved in Disassembled. They were involved in House of M.
Yep.
They were involved in Civil War.
All of these years of comics.
And all of these events that are we can't trust anybody.
Yep.
Can't trust the mutants.
Right.
Can't trust the Avengers.
Yep.
Who do you
Avengers
trust?
Can't even trust each other.
Right.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree. That's a tall task that they've got ahead of them with that show. Outstanding stuff for Secret Invasion. Let's keep moving. Blue Beetle. That trailer dropped. Blue Beetle coming out August 18th of this year. This is by far, for me, the character of whom I know the least about, and I'm a DC Comics guy, but I've never read a single Blue Beetle issue. I'm sure they exist, but Blue Beetle as a character has been a participant in some comic events on the DC side that I've read, but rarely has he been a featured character. So I'm really fascinated to see why on earth this movie exists. I'm keeping an open mind. I'm saying it could be good, could be worthwhile. And the trailer did enough to make me go, okay, I would go see that. What about you, Riles?
It looks like it's genuinely a good time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going in there, I'm like, oh, this looks like it's going to be a fun summer movie where I can just go in for 2 hours and just have a blast.
It felt very Shia LaBeouf in the first Transformers movie.
And it was a fantastic movie, okay?
Not a criticism.
But first thing I have to say, George Lopez's beard in this
Good for you, George.
Phenomenal.
Good for you.
Phenomenal. But I'm really excited. I don't know what the villains are going to look like. Yeah. I hope we see Ted Kord. Mm-hmm. I like Jaime a lot, but I've seen Jaime in some shows where I'm like, Jaime's a baller.
Right, and we have to establish, for our listeners who, like us, aren't going to know a lot about Blue Beetle. I mean, you know some good Blue Beetle, Riles. So Ted Kord is the original DC Blue Beetle.
He's the second one. There's one before him.
Who's the one before him?
I will Google it, but there's one before him.
Okay, and then Ted Kord is the Blue Beetle that I know.
Ted Kord is the second Blue Beetle, yes.
You're saying second Blue Beetle. And so the third Blue Beetle, who is the primary character in this movie, the trailer of which we're discussing right now, is Jaime Garcia. Is that right?
Jaime Reyes.
Jaime Reyes. White people. Dang it. Jaime Reyes, not Garcia. Shame on me. And again, that's about the extent of what I know other than the Blue Beetle character, the kind of premise, to really hone in on our ability to say that word properly. The premise is that whether it be Ted Kord or Jaime Garcia comes across this scarab that's in the shape of a beetle that latches onto the person and then expands into a full body like battle suit, which is wild. So alien tech,
Alien magic tech.
better than tech, magic tech. Hello. Powerful stuff.
From what I understand. So the first Blue Beetle is maybe one of the whitest names ever in comics.
Whiter than Ted Kord?
Dan Garrett.
Yep. Yep.
Dan Garrett was the first Blue Beetle.
I have never heard Dan Garrett.
He's like old school. Like golden age probably comics.
50s kind of comics?
Yes. Like old, mid 1960s.
Okay.
Ted Kord took over in the mid 60s. Mm-hmm. And then Jaime came in.
I don't feel bad about not knowing later. Dan Garrett. I'm really impressed that you knew there was a Blue Beetle before Ted Kord.
I've been seeing some things on it lately.
Pull by you.
I know.
Great job.
More than just a hat rack.
Clearly, there's a lot going on.
But yeah, no, it's Jaime Reyes and Young Justice is phenomenal. If you haven't seen Young Justice, go watch Young Justice because it's very good for the teenage DC characters.
Yeah.
A very good Nightwing, a very good Kid Flash, aka Wally West.
Yeah.
Which we just get all the love from Wally West in the animated shows, which is phenomenal. And then they introduced Jaime in season 2. They introduced Static Shock in season 2.
Fascinating.
It's really good. I haven't seen any season 3 yet, so I can't vouch for that. But yes.
Yeah. Here's really all I feel equipped to say as it pertains to Blue Beetle at this very early juncture, where we are still a solid 4 months out. So plenty of marketing to come between now and then. I hope that DC is self-aware enough by that point to give folks a reason to go see the movie other than just the movie being left on an island like we talked about on the previous podcast with Shazam Fury of the Gods, where we don't know, okay, so is Blue Beetle, like, is he going to be around? Is he part of the new DCU? We need to know that.
I think it depends on how well this movie does.
And it can't be that. Like, that's just not even fair to the character. Because if that's all that it is, this is it. You're getting a Blue Beetle one-off, and it's going to not make the money that it needs to make because there is no cachet for this character for anybody to go see it. It has to be hey, this character is leading into, there has to be greater context.
I'll be interested to see.
R.I.P. Blue Beetle, Ted Kord, Jaime Garcia, Dan freaking Garrett. Sorry.
You mean Reyes. You say Garcia
again. Garcia again? Yeah. White people again.
I don't know what's wrong.
Dude. Jaime, I owe you an apology. Mr. Reyes. Doggone it.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see how DC markets this movie. I think they're dumb not to market it because I think this movie could do a lot of good. So, but we'll see.
Yeah. Hoping, not counting on, but...
I still think it's funny that George Lopez is in that movie.
Yeah.
That is not, I mean, it makes sense, but at the same time, I was like, George Lopez wants to be in a superhero movie? That's kind of crazy. And he seems like a Uncle Ben that's going to stay alive. That's how I can... That's how I can see.
Maybe that's how they got him in. They're like, listen, we want you in the movie, and we won't kill you.
Yeah, you're going to be like this wise sage to the hero.
With a giant goatee.
With a gigantic beard. Done.
Good for you, George. Okay, speaking of hoping, but also not counting on anything delivering, the Marvels trailer release. That movie is releasing November 10th, so very much in the distance. Talking a solid 6 months or so.
We need a Morbius.
Yep.
We need a Morbius.
Yep.
That's how I look at this. We need a Morbius.
Yep.
I'm not excited, but it's mainly because I have no, there's not a single character in there where I'm like, oh, I love that character.
Right. And maybe that's where I just need to be okay with, we've continued to hit on this topic, but maybe that's just part of it now. Just be okay with, okay, these characters aren't for me. Cool. And That's it.
Maybe we'll make it easier to watch because then we have zero.
No expectations.
Lower than that.
Strictly neutral.
No, I'd say lower than neutral. I'd say we're not looking forward to these people. But I will say, I did like Spectrum. I believe that's her superhero name.
I'm going with it.
Yeah.
I keep saying
Monica
Garcia instead of Reyes, so I
Monica
can't be trusted.
Rambeau. I liked her character in WandaVision, so I'm excited to see her explore her powers.
Sure.
But I've never been like, first of all, I don't like Carol Danvers at all. From a comic book perspective, from the movie perspective, has nothing to do with Brie Larson. It has everything to do with...
That's a good point. Even in the comics, she's always just ended up on the wrong...
She's a bitch.
On the wrong side of things. Like in Civil War, she sided with Tony Stark, which was the wrong move, and was just a bad friend.
She's a mad RBF. Mad RBF. Yeah. So... I think that's part of it.
Harder character to like.
Right.
Yeah.
See, because I don't like Maria Hill either. Okay, I'll die on that hill. I've never liked her either.
I like Maria Hill.
Yep. I think it's mainly because Ultimate Alliance 2, she is such a bitch in that video game. She's mad at you all the time. She's either bossing you around when you pick her side for Civil War, but if you go against her, she's like, "Oh, we're gonna arrest you," and you're like, "Bitch, try me." Try me. I'm Spider-Man. You're not getting me. That's not how this works. Sidetrack. Coming back. My point is, I've never liked...
Some really buried trauma from Ultimate Alliance 2
you don't even know.
have to work through.
You don't even know. Okay? I have trauma from the first one because they didn't have the Hulk in the first one. I'm like, how do you not have the Hulk in the first one? Because I like throwing cars. Okay?
Who doesn't?
If I'm a superhero, I'm super strong, let me throw cars.
Who among us?
Okay? And Hulk, in the second one, he would just pick people up, and then you could use the people as weapons. It was awesome.
Great move. Good for the Hulk.
I'm getting very sidetracked. Ultimate Alliance, fantastic capes. Anywho, never liked Captain Marvel. Never really liked Maria Hill. Miss Marvel, I am indifferent in because I haven't really interacted with the character.
Yep.
Okay, straight up, like, I've seen her comic books. I haven't really read anything with her.
Khan seems like a delight.
She seems alright.
Yeah, seems like a delight.
The only interaction I've had with her is in the Avengers video game, and that video game was terrible. So,
Oof.
It did not live up to the hype. But she's like a fangirl, and whatever, that's all I got.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, Nick Fury's back.
Yeah, doesn't that make you question the timing of the movie? Like, we're getting a Secret Invasion show with Nick Fury, and now he's also in a trailer?
Looks like the Accusers are coming back. I don't know if you caught that, the hammer.
Right.
I don't know. It's curious. So you know they're going to go back to the Krees. I got nothing after that.
Yep.
I got nothing.
Yep.
I'm not excited. We'll see what happens.
Okay, let's move on.
Hopefully the cat eats the movie.
Goodness. Yeah, the old Flurkin. Love that. Not really. Okay, the Penguin. In the far still to be determined release date, sometime in 2024. Darn yet. We had I don't remember the last time I've even seen such a thing, an in production trailer. So, weird move, quite frankly. Weird move. But as someone who really enjoyed The Batman in 2021, including, and perhaps even in particular, Colin Farrell's iteration of the Penguin, I was just pleased to see whatever little nuggets and tidbits they were willing to drop in front of me. That's great.
I think that was the whole point. I think they're like, hey, we're making it. Okay, don't worry. Don't worry, it's coming out. That's all I think that was.
Right.
I don't think there's anything else there. It's like, oh, he's here. He's in full costume.
We finally got Colin to sit down so he can put the makeup on. We're gonna shoot the dang thing.
We're all good. It's here.
True.
So.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm excited. It'll be good.
I love the format. Love that it's the miniseries. That is outstanding. I hope they take advantage of the opportunity to expand the Batman world.
I just love that.
So much potential.
I love that they're letting Matt Reeves do his thing. Obviously, he likes the character, wants to do a bunch with it.
Yeah.
Great. That's fantastic. I think Batman fans, which is every other person in the world, right?
How can you not be?
You're going to be eating real good because you're either going to like the Batman and Robin or you're going to like the Batman or you're going to like both.
Yeah, who knows?
And if you like neither, well, then you're just a cynic.
And then you just got to wait to see The Brave and the Bold, apparently.
Did I use that word right, cynic?
You did.
Yes.
No, that was really well done. Good for you. Good for you. All right, there's our trailer recap. Obviously, you can search the YouTubes, find them for yourself.
It was a lot.
Yeah, let us know what you think of each respective trailer. Those are our thoughts, and we're just two mere mortals who moonlight as heroes and bear the burden extraordinarily well.
You can tell us. We probably won't read it, but you can tell us what you think.
That's fair.
Interact with your fellow brethren. I can't promise you that I will be in there. Yeah.
That's incredibly fair. Tell us, my dear sweet beans, about the Mario movie. You went and saw it. You enjoyed it.
I loved that movie.
Yeah. What'd you love about it?
So,
let's be positive. What'd you like?
first of all, Chris Pratt's Mario voice, not that bad. Mm-hmm. Go watch the movie. Don't base it off the poor trailer voice takeaway choices. Does that make sense?
Since when did the voice of Mario become a big deal anyway? Like,
everybody's a critic.
I'm not a big video game person. I think the Mario game that I played the most was the Super Nintendo version, and he never spoke, so it's just a non-factor.
Wahoo!
Right.
All that stuff.
Right. That's all you got. That's all I got.
But he's fantastic. Charlie Day as Luigi is fantastic. Princess Peach, Anna Taylor-Joy, fantastic. After this movie, and I think I always knew this, but I feel like if I was ever going to make a movie franchise,
sure,
I would make sure that I would have something lined up for Jack Black. I don't think Jack Black, honest to God, I don't think Jack Black is bad in anything, and I think that he could make anything work.
Fascinating take. I like that.
Because as long as he enjoys the character and you let him be himself in that role, it's going to be fantastic. He is amazing as Bowser.
I don't know how we keep referencing Peter Jackson's King Kong movie, but we do, and we're about to do it again here. Jack Black is in that King Kong movie, and he's genuinely perfectly fine in the movie. But he plays in terms of, humor, demeanor, a straight character. There is no humor in his character. And it was such a bizarre casting choice both then and in hindsight, like some 17, 18 years later. Because everybody in the theater is waiting for him to crack a joke.
Right.
And it's like, no, he's serious the whole time. And it, not his fault, but it just did him no favors, because all Jack Black was known for prior to then and has been known for since is goofy, at least in general, goofy characters.
He's just, so
your comment just made me think of that. It's like, has he ever been bad in anything? Well, he wasn't bad in King Kong. He was just a really odd casting choice.
I mean, I could go through a bunch of his stuff that he was just phenomenal in. But I think...
He's entertaining.
Right. They wrote an original song for this movie, Jordan.
Oh, my goodness.
It is...
Oh.
It's a love song from Bowser to Peach.
Come on.
And it is hilarious. and people keep making the comment that this is an original song that could get nominated for an Oscar, so everybody's rallying behind it because they're like, this could get Jack Black an Oscar. So, yes, the song is called Peaches, and if you haven't heard the song yet, you've been living under a rock. It is fantastic.
Okay, time for me to get out from under my rock.
But if you are a fan of the Mario video games, you'll love the movie because it's a nod to that.
Yeah.
Right? You're not going to go in there and you're going to be like, oh my gosh, this story's mind-blowing. That's not what this is meant for. This is meant for you to live out the video game.
An homage to the movie.
In a movie.
Homage to the video game.
It honestly felt like a video game storyline.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it felt like. And that's what it should be. Now, the only thing that was a little weird for me, okay?
Yep.
Also, Fred Armisen is in this movie.
Really?
He plays Donkey Kong's dad. Phenomenal. Okay, phenomenal casting choice for Fred Armisen as an old grumpy monkey. Okay, that's fantastic.
Crushed it. Perfectly cast.
Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong is odd to me. It's weird. It works, but it doesn't work. Like, listening to Donkey Kong laugh as Seth Rogen is kind of disturbing.
Is it because of what you know of Seth Rogen or what you expected from Donkey Kong?
Well, to be honest, I didn't expect Donkey Kong to use words ever.
True.
Because he's a gigantic ape. But, I don't know. I just, again, Seth...
He was just more of a, hey, this is weird.
You feel like it would come from like a real, like, buffed out dude.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
And he sounds more like a bro, you know? And maybe that's the vibe they were going with. And Donkey Kong and Mario's dynamic in this movie is hilarious. Because they're just like frenemies, essentially, throughout the entire thing.
Right.
But, yeah, it's fantastic. They are plumbers. So, yeah, go watch the movie. It's fantastic.
Support your local plumber.
Right. I will show you the Peaches song after this. Because if I did it on here, we'd get flagged for copyright. But it's phenomenal.
Good for Jack Black.
So yes, I'm hoping they keep Jack Black around for this franchise.
That's great.
And highest grossing animated movie all time, beat out Frozen 2.
That is pretty wild. Do you think anybody anticipated anywhere close to that level of engagement? Maybe they should have. Maybe I should have, but I definitely didn't. I mean, the Mario franchise as a video game entity is it the franchise, like the most well-known video game franchise? I mean, it spans generations, right? I'm talking about playing on the Super Nintendo. There are, I assume, youths nowadays that are still playing Mario video games of some variety, even if it's just Mario Kart.
Well, I would say yes, because if you think about it this way, Disney has Mickey Mouse. Nintendo has Mario.
Yep.
What else? What are the other what does PlayStation have? God of War. Great movie, would be a great movie, but good franchise, but I don't see that being their guy. Like, there's not one PS4 game that blew the rest out of the water.
To all these other age, it's a generational entity at this point.
I think I'm surprised that it took them this long to figure out we should make an animated movie on Mario.
Gotcha.
And I understand why they didn't do it, because Nintendo's very protective of their things. And for valid reasons, because they make a crap ton of money. I mean a crap ton of money. And they just made a crap ton of money from this movie.
Yep.
But
I
think now, you're going to get the floodgates. We're going to see a Luigi movie. We're going to see a Donkey Kong movie. We're going to see a Bowser movie for sure.
Sure. This is
Mario 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Like, we're going to be getting all the Mario movies.
Yeah.
You're going to see Legend of Zelda come out. You're going to see probably more Pokemon movies, because those are Nintendo's 3 big ones, I
did not realize Pokemon was a Nintendo entity.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Yes.
Yeah, so you're right. Prepare for the floodgates. I don't think that's off at all.
Just keep the fun lightheartedness of and it felt like a kids movie, and it was good.
Good for them. Good for them. All right. You've got me convinced. I got to go see the dang thing. Good on Mario movie. Congrats, you guys. You're richer than you ever were, and even though you're already richer than most of us ever will be combined. So, cool. On a slightly less positive note, before we transition over to the bracket, because we're excited to get there, Jonathan Majors. Within the last few weeks, some negative news came out. A little bit of a domestic spat between Mr. Majors and his girlfriend. There's not a whole lot of clarity as to whether or not any genuine crime was committed.
Charges were dropped.
So that doesn't always mean there wasn't wrongdoing. But the harm that has been done in the public perception, to really double down on the P words, is there. The question is, what's going to be the result? And this has to be said, right? If Jonathan Majors, whether he committed a crime or not, if he's doing lousy, inhumane, just terrible things to another person, recast him. You don't need to commit to an actor that's a crappy human being at that level. Now, I also don't think that's what this is. Personally, doesn't feel like that. Felt like something unfortunate that could have been avoided. Sound like two adults that didn't handle their business very well. But I'm worried about where this leads for Jonathan Majors in his role as Kang. Just because as more time passes, Marvel seems to be doing what they can to separate themselves from Jonathan Majors. I mean, there hasn't been any public statement either direction from Marvel or any direction whatsoever. They've taken him out of all marketing for the Ant-Man and the Wasp movie, which obviously is no longer in theaters, but they're marketing it on Disney Plus, right? It's arriving on Disney Plus soon. You can buy it digitally. The character of Kang is not involved in any of that marketing. Obviously, he's still in the movie. But as more time passes, I feel less encouraged about where this is headed. It feels more and more like, old Jonathan's on the chopping block. What's your sense of this?
I think Marvel is doing their best to play this smart. Because for Marvel, this can go one of two ways. And it's backfired on them before, and you've seen it backfire on DC's end. And by that, I mean, for Marvel, it backfired when they jumped the gun on James Gunn. Literally jumped the gun. Anyways, but they lost him, essentially, to DC, and now they're going to have to compete with him for a long time. And now, whether he does good with DC or not, we don't know.
Just created the opportunity.
Right.
Yeah,
but
no question.
I wouldn't want to be going up against James Gunn by any means because of what he's been able to do creative-wise. Okay? But you've also seen it where DC didn't cut people soon enough. We've seen them deal with Ezra Miller. Now, Ezra Miller is a different case than Jonathan Majors because Ezra Miller...
It's a special version of crazy.
...has mental illness.
Yeah.
That's just there. Okay? Yeah. So, whatever that is. But then you also have Amber Heard. And that whole trial got publicized, and you're realizing, oh, she's a full-blown narcissist. And also, mental illness. So, and then they had to go and not recast, but they had to reshoot for Aquaman and cut her role from a very prominent one to, I think she shows up for maybe 2 minutes and then leaves. And you don't see from her again because of...
reasons.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think Marvel's playing this to the best of their abilities.
Yep.
They still made all the money they can off of Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Sure.
It's coming out to Disney Plus. Like, the next thing he's going to be in is Loki. And maybe that's why we haven't gotten a release date, is they're waiting to see how this plays out.
Yeah, no, I hadn't thought of that factor, but you're right.
Because, I mean, they're not going to reshoot it by any means.
Yeah.
I don't think they will. And they're definitely not going to scrap it either.
Yeah.
But they might... I don't know. I don't know what they'll do. But I think they're trying to play it safe, and that's why they haven't picked a side. I think the best thing for them to do was probably to pull Jonathan Majors out of the marketing in the sense of, hey, you obviously didn't get convicted.
Yeah.
But why don't you take a step back, take a breather, get out of the public eye for a little bit, relax, and then let's come back at it at a later date, and we can discuss and go through some things. As long as you aren't a piece of garbage...
Right.
We'll continue.
Right. And that's the big unknown is, okay, is this obviously no criminal charges, but that's not to say that nothing wrong was done. Is this a result of, like, is this a culmination of previous instances and this one just happened to get made public? Or is this this is just worst case scenario, blow up, argument,
blown out of proportion.
It's a one-off. In other words, you guys had a bad argument, went poorly, got in the news. Not what anybody desired, but it's not a reflection of who Jonathan Majors is. As in our roles, we have no idea, right? We have no way of knowing, and so my genuine hope is that the powers that be at Disney and at Marvel, if they don't know that already, that they're finding out. Because while I delight and have delighted in Jonathan Majors in his role as Kang, if the dude is a piece of garbage, by all means, please recast the role. right? And on the other side of that, don't James Gunn it, right? Don't overreact in a misguided effort to try and appease people, whoever the people are, when there's nothing to be appeased, right? Because that doesn't, nobody wins in that situation either.
Right. It's also interesting too because if you remember back when the James Gunn thing was in its prime, I don't know if we were doing this podcast at the time, probably not.
No, prior to.
But they were going after him hard. And I mean, like, and I'm not talking about Marvel. I'm talking about people specifically.
It was gross.
Right. They were coming after the guy.
Yep. Yeah.
I don't feel like they're doing the same thing with Jonathan, which to me says a lot, because to me it's saying, oh, I don't think people actually fully believe that it's as bad as that it was portrayed to be. Yep. I don't know. That is an interesting...
Yeah. No, that's a good juxtaposition to identify. The timing of it is odd to me. Like Jonathan Majors was on a peak for himself. Like this was the height of his,
for any actor at
culture,
this time.
Right, for his own like pop culture awareness. He had
Creed 3.
Creed 3, but even before that, he'd come out in Devotion, which I saw the previous fall. And then he had Ant-Man, Quantumania, and then Creed 3. So, like, almost everybody had seen this guy, right? If you're going to a movie, you're seeing Jonathan Majors in the movie. And on top of that, he's in, as March Madness, right, this massive television event unfolds, he's in U.S. Army commercials. So even if you haven't gone to one of those 3 movies, you're seeing the guy because you're probably watching March Madness basketball. So he is a known quantity, and of course, U.S. Army also pulls those particular ads out to play it safe. So the timing of it just, I can't think of another individual that was at that peak, and then all of a sudden here's this bad news that comes out, and just all of a sudden, whoa, let's turtle up here. So I don't know how to digest it in that sense. So we'll see. To be determined. Okay, enough of the downers. Let's jump over to the bracket. We're in the final 4. It's time to get to the championship and crown the JP in the Beans Talk Bracketology champion. Let's do it.
Can I time it?
I bet you can.
Check.
Mm-hmm.
We're back.
Hey!
Look at how that worked. It worked out so well.
That was a seamless transition. Did we even move?
I don't know whoever edited that. It was fantastic.
Incredible stuff. Wow.
Yes.
Magic, you could say.
We're on to the final 4.
This is great. So, by way of context, to set this up, we have winnowed down from 64 heroes, villains, anti-heroes, friends, family, countrymen, from the original regions of worst roomie, best real name. I had to think about that. Did we do best or worst? Best real name, worst co-parent, and best partner in crime. The winners of each region. Worst co-parent, Dark Side. Say no more. Makes perfect sense. The winner of the best partner in crime region.
I will get you a pointer for next time, because I can see you're already enjoying the marker.
I am. Yeah, we both need laser pointers.
We need pointers, yes.
The winner of the best partner in crime regional, Zatanna. Good for you, Zatanna. The winner of the worst roomie, Red Skull. Congrats, I guess. And the winner of the best real name regional, Blackagar Boltagon.
Some surprising winners. Honestly, if I would have looked back at this bracket, I would not have thought any of these people would have won, except maybe Dark Side.
Maybe Dark Side, right. He's got the power to be a substantial adversary. And so we are left, ladies and gentlemen, with 2 heroes, 2 villains. 1 hero from the DC Universe against 1 villain from the DC Universe. 1 hero from the Marvel Universe against one villain from the Marvel Universe.
We didn't do it on purpose, I swear.
Completely random, it'll never happen again, but we're also very proud of what randomly took place.
Yes, and then we randomly selected 3 new things.
Absolutely. The new criteria in the DC semifinal. The criteria is who is the worst relative, Darkseid or Zatanna. For the Marvel semifinal, who is the best cross-country road trip companion? Bit of a mouthful, but totally worth it. And then in the finals, who is the best Jedi, or, in case of a villain, Sith? So, Riles, where would you like to begin? Marvel or DC?
Let's just go right here on the whole left side. Because this is America and we read left to right. So I say we go left.
Well done. That was a
Worst
test. And
relative.
you passed. All right. So between Darkseid and Zatanna, who would make Riley the worst relative? Let's hear your argument.
Well, we have Magic Lady.
Mm-hmm.
So she can do cool party tricks.
Which just leaves you in the dark.
It's true. It's true. She's going to show you up every time.
Just by her mere presence.
Right.
Right? And she's successful.
Yeah.
Like wildly successful.
Right.
So it's kind of frustrating. It's like, what have you done? Doesn't matter. Oh, there's Zatanna. She's amazing. Wow, look at what she does. Incredible.
Hey,
okay.
guys, I got a new article in the paper. What did you think?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, did she just say a whole paragraph backwards?
Yep.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, that's going to suck.
That's kind of that's annoying.
You,
it would depend on how good of a relative, like how good is your relationship with her, right?
I would be such a brown noser with her. Let's be real.
At least you're being transparent.
I want things from you because you can do things for me.
Right. Okay. Well, that's your angle. So, Darkseid. Here's where I'm at. He's only the worst relative if he shows up. I'm not sure he ever shows up at any family functions. He's not a family guy. We already established that he is the worst co-parent. Does he even participate in family functions? He may just be absent. He may just be hanging out on his planet, plotting the destruction of the universe, which clearly is not ideal. But as far as a relative goes, I'm not even sure you see the guy. Must be present to win.
Well, here's where I think, though. Because, first of all, on a good thing, no one will ever screw with you. Because they're like, dude, your uncle's Darkseid? I'm like, yeah. And then they're like, and then they run away in terror. And then,
sure.
Here's the bad thing, though.
Right.
We know what he does to his kids.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
That probably translates throughout the entire
family.
Right, because isn't like the grandma and Calabac also a kid, and like the Granny Terror or something, or Granny Sunshine? I had something weird like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I just have Granny Smith apples in my head now. Yeah. That's not right either.
I don't know.
Granny Goodness. That's what it is.
There it
is. Which is an ironic name because she not good.
So not it's good. Like if he does get you, it's not going to be fun.
Right. It all depends on how involved he is. Because if he's involved and therefore you're involved, bad, worst.
Well,
but that's where I'm.
How obsessed is he with his kids in the comics? Or is he more obsessed with himself?
It's a tie. He's obsessed with himself, but he's threatened. In a weird way, he's threatened by his kids, right? So he wants them in their proper place.
Okay.
So he wants that control. He's big on control. That's the whole thing with him. And anti-life, he does not want others to have will, control. He wants to dominate that.
So here's where I'm going to go. I'm going to lean him as the worst.
Yeah.
Because she's going to be at least a contributing member to the family, whether you like her or not. If you don't like her,
she's not going to be adversary.
Right. It's more of a jealousy thing with you. So if you can't be a bigger person, that's on you. This guy is just, he's like a rain cloud of on your entire family. And you don't know, and it could rain anytime.
Yeah. It's hard not to know who he is. It's hard for someone not to know that you're related to the guy.
Right.
Yeah.
The only aspect is fear that works. And so I'm going to say that Darkseid is the worst of the relatives.
Okay. Darkseid. Disgusting. Son of a gun. He's going to move on. He is officially the worst relative and heading into the finals. So who will Darkseid be matched up with?
Now this is a fun one.
This is a fun one. All right, the best cross-country road trip companion. So in other words, you're making a long drive. This isn't a 2-hour or 3-hour jaunt up to the Twin Cities. You're going from coast to friggin' coast. This is multiple days in a confined space with this individual.
Los Angeles to New York City. And if you're going on that trip, you're going to want to crash yourself anyways, but that's besides the point.
Sure. So here's where I'm at, right? First of all, I'm biased. I don't want Red Skull to win because Nazi, okay? However, this is a bad matchup for those of us that don't want Red Skull to win because Blackagar Boltagon, while he has a phenomenal name and therefore has earned his way into the Final Four, listen, if I'm on a long road trip, I would like some conversation. I can't get any, literally none, because if the dude opens his mouth and whispers, the vehicle is destroyed. So I would rather just be by myself, but I can't be by myself because for some reason we're in this together, he's with me, and so now I have to entertain myself, but that feels very awkward, like I can't even talk out loud, like, because then he's giving me weird looks like, dude, are you going crazy? Which, yes, but I don't need anybody else to know about that. Red Skull, I don't even know. I just feel like he would make bad suggestions about where to stop and eat on the trip, which would be annoying, but at least there's conversation. Okay, that's what I got.
Okay. Let's be real. This dude's never going to shut up. Okay, Red Skull's going to be talking non-stop on that trip. You're going to hit the music, and he's going to be like, oh, did you get the Third Reich stuff? And you're going to be like, no, that's not on the track list here, okay?
Nor will it ever be.
No, we listen to straight up country music or something else. I'm trying to drown this guy out throughout the whole trip. Now,
this is really a question of, do you want the sheer endless conversation or the none? There's no happy medium here.
right.
And it's
Also,
bad conversation too.
oh my god, it's terrible.
Oh.
It's like,
Yeah.
world domination today? No. No, we're not doing this for that. We have to go for another reason. Okay? Black Bolt, I think there's ways around it, okay?
Okay.
If
Sell me on it.
if Stephen Hawking could talk,
Sure.
so can Black Bolt.
Okay, so we just need some technology.
Which, not hard to do.
Doesn't that raise the question of why the heck there hasn't been a technology developed by the Inhumans to allow the guy to communicate instead of having to use sign language?
I've thought about that. It's a major plot hole, is
It
it
is.
not?
It is.
It's a
It's
major plot hole.
ridiculous.
But
It's ridiculous.
anywho, maybe
Okay.
they don't believe in it.
Okay.
I don't
Okay.
know. But we have that, okay? On
Sure.
top of that, I know for a fact Black Bolt jams in the car. Okay,
Okay.
that dude, you're
Okay.
gonna put on music, he's gonna like mostly whatever you got.
Interesting.
Now, it might take him a second to come around to it. Okay, you might have to play the same song about 3-4 times. But you play,
It's a man of repetition.
but if you play 500 miles
Mhm.
enough times, he's gonna be right there with you, jamming out to that song, doing
Sure.
whatever the head nodding he
Sure.
needs to do. He's not a pushover,
Yeah.
so that's good.
Yeah.
Now, yeah, the no talking, never shutting up.
Yeah, I think for me, I would, between those two rocks and the hard place that I have to live in, I would rather have some peace and tranquility. I can't deal with the never-ending stream of words, especially when the words are nothing but crazy Nazi crap.
And
Yeah.
the car is getting into an accident at least 3 times.
Which is probably his fault.
Right. You're switching.
He probably cuts the brakes just to see what happens.
You're switching cars multiple times.
Oh my gosh.
And it's mainly because you talked crap about the song that he picked, and then so he got outside, flattened the car, and he's like, "Duh, you got to buy another one."
Oh, thank goodness the Nazi didn't win. Black Bolt, congrats, bud. You're in the finals against Darkseid. Okay, this is a fun finals. So we have a bad guy, a good guy. Who's the best Jedi in the case of Black Bolt, or Sith? Who would be better?
So
In that role.
who's winning in a lightsaber fight, essentially, or if
No, I think it's all encompassing.
Okay.
So how much are verbal commands actually necessary when it comes to wielding the Force?
I would say none.
For example, I agree.
I'd say this is just a bonus.
I agree. I'm leaning Black Bolt here because the dude has already practiced all these nonverbal skills, the amount of self-control that it takes to have the sheer destructive power that simply using his voice at a small whisper could unleash. To not err in that is remarkable self-control that I feel like transitions very well into Force abilities as a Jedi. I think he would do very well. Darkseid's freaking huge, terrifying Sith. I wouldn't want to match up against him unless I got Black Bolt on my side. Secret weapon. I feel good about Black Bolt here.
I don't know.
Okay.
That's intimidating.
Well, yeah, it's intimidating.
As a
He's
Sith?
a big guy.
Yeah, but he knows how to like harness his anger.
I'm not sure he could adequately hold a lightsaber. He's too big for it.
Dude,
He's too big.
He'd be one of
It would look like me holding this marker.
There are ways around it. I'm sure he just has a bulkier one.
Oh, that's terrifying. No, thank you.
Right, his is a long sword.
Nope.
Essentially, okay.
Nope.
So we got that. You know.
Okay, so he's got an enormous.
Can you
lightsaber.
imagine? Can you imagine the Omega beams with the Force power?
That's frustrating.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
horrifying.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know what extra little oomph that gives him.
He would be a formidable Sith.
He would overpower you, hands down. He'd be stronger. He has more anger in him. Now, Black Bolt, very peaceful guy.
Mm-hmm.
Darkseid,
It'd be a great matchup.
He's
It'd be
harnessed
legitimately. I would love to
his
see both
anger.
of these guys with lightsabers and see who wins. I would love to see it.
I'm thinking of what it would have been like if he would have been in Palpatine's shoes. And
Well, you couldn't have gone incognito. You can't hide that kind of power.
Right.
There's no subtlety there.
But at the same time, like
He makes for a great Sith because he doesn't want to share power at all.
he would have killed Palpatine. He would have stuck with the rule of two.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest, the rule of two was created because of Darkseid. You know, they're like, oh, we can't have more than two of him, otherwise
That's probably his rule.
we're all
Right.
screwed.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It gets interesting. It gets interesting in the fact that it's like,
I get some strong Obi-Wan vibes from Black Bolt.
really?
Old man Obi-Wan. Very together, very
Remember what
calm.
happened to old man Obi-Wan?
He willingly put himself in harm's way. Became more powerful than Darth Vader could even imagine.
By dying.
Yes! Genius! Genius!
That worked out real well. He's like, oh, I hope Luke's got it. Dies immediately. And I love Obi-Wan.
Oh, that's great.
This is tough.
That's great. They're both outstanding. I think, in fairness, like I would prefer Black Bolt to win, but I do think Darkseid's probably the more powerful.
Oh, I
powerful
think
guy here.
I think it's a cakewalk.
Yep. So for better or for worse, ladies and gentlemen, Darkseid is your champion. So give in to anti-life. We're sorry. Darkseid, number one. Good for you, bud. At least the Nazi didn't win, right?
Amen.
Jeepers kittens. Okay, Riles. There it is. Love it.
Fantastic. We did it.
How about that?
That is the official end of the 2023 JP and the Beans bracket.
If you would like to donate a cool $1,000, we will happily frame and sign this bracket and postmark it post-haste to you.
Yes.
I don't anticipate anybody taking advantage of that offer. Shame on you all. No.
And my signature's worth like cool, crisp $2.
Give yourself credit. At least $250.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, at least $250. Hey, another great episode. This has been an absolute delight. Great idea. Looking forward to next March and April already. But great round one for JP and the Beans in the bracketology department. What a blast that was. What else you got for the good people, Riles?
I think that's about it. I think
is
we
it.
wrapped this bad boy.
Let's do it.
So,
let's wrap it up.
if you like this content, you like this bracket right here that we went through all the work to do,
Of course you do.
follow us on the YouTubes. JP and the Beans Talk. Follow us on the Tickety Talk
Sure.
at Magic Beans Productions. I think that's it.
That's it.
Two?
You got it.
Yeah, because
You got it.
I pretty much like put the Facebook page to rest. I haven't touched
That's really
that page
okay.
in
That's
like
really okay.
3 months.
Leave it there.
Yeah. So,
Leave it there.
if you're on Facebook, screw off. So, on that note,
Wow.
that's all I got.
Cereal. Darkseid's the champion.
Darkseid is the champion.
Darkseid is. There it is.
Godspeed.
Peace.